Hello fellow YouTubers, and welcome to Roman's Outdoors again. Today we're going to be reloading 30-06. So I already have some brass in my tumbler. Going to be adding a few more since I'm running low on reloading cases. So first thing I like to do is just clean them up before I put anything into my press. I'm going to close this end up. And the reason I'm doing it is because this side is open from my last operation. We'll remove this screen. As I said, what did I say? As I said, I've got the brass and the media already in there, so we're going to add some water. Then my secret ingredient, no, it's not ivory, it's actually Dawn dishwashing liquid. 1 pump or 1 second of the squirt bottle. Roughly a tablespoon of Lemmy Shine. All it is a detergent booster. Need the washer to go on top of there. Otherwise we'd have a mess. Pop that on there, tighten it up, and we'll go over to the tumbler and get it going. So making sure the barrel of your rotary drum is sealed, place it on your Frankfurt Arsenal rotary tumbler. They have timers on them. We'll start off with about 1.5 hours because it's pretty dirty brass, and we'll see what happens. After 1.5 hours of tumbling, let's see how clean this brass is. I would say that's pretty clean. We'll strain out the water. Let's put our strainer on. This way it'll work a little better. Get rid of our dirty water. We'll bring in our spinner. This is the Frankfurt Arms wet dry media separator. We really don't have any media to separate, but we'll get them as dry as possible. So here's our base. There's our basket. Spin this up for a few seconds. Get some excess water out of here. And then we'll go to dry them. Looks a lot better than what it did. So what we'll do now is get the majority of the soap out of there. We'll give this some rinsing. Water's not bubbly, so we got the majority of soap out. Get rid of that. And now we're going to break out the American Harvest brass dryer. Some of you may know it by other names, but this is how I dry my brass. One tray, two tray, three trays. Okay. So this one goes up to 145. Some of them come up to 160. It'll just take a little longer. We'll check it in 2-3 hours. All right, our brass is all dry. Should be. And take it out. What we're going to do now is just deprime it. That's all I'm going to do for this step. Going to deprime it and put it right back in the tumbler, because what I want to do is I want to get those primer pockets clean. So right now it's just to get it in the press in the full length resizer, to deprime it, to size the shoulder and get it back in, at which point I'll do my final sizing, check for the case trim, and chamfer them. But right now, a little bit of grease, a little bit goes a long way, so I just smear it. Camera died. All right, we're gonna grab a piece of brass, lube it up, and just deprime it. If you don't lube it up, it's going to be a big difference. Like I said, going back in the wet tumbler, a little bit goes a long way. All you're doing is putting the film on it. And as you notice, I'm not even re-dipping my hand in the grease every, or I should say I'm only re-dipping it every 2-3 cartridges. Because again, there's enough grease on my fingers. Doesn't take much. You just want to film so it doesn't stick, that's all. You can't feel it, but you can definitely see it. Doesn't take much effort to deprime them. What I want to do at some point I think it'll be better and more efficient is get a lubing pad and just roll the cartridges around in there. Don't want to spray. I'm in a confined space here, so there's many ways to lube it. Just using what's left of the grease that came with the classic touring press kit. When that's gone, or when that's near gone, we'll move on to bigger and better things if there are any. Now you've got a boatload of deprimed dirty brass. Well, you got to clean it. So I'm going to show you exactly what's done. I'm using the Frankfurt Arsenal rotary tumbler. Others of you may have a dry tumbler that you use. I myself prefer this way. And we'll go to the rotary tumbler. Alright, we're going to set our loaded drum in the tumbler. This tumbler has a timer on it. We can go, well, we got a little leak here. That's not good. So let's reset that. Doesn't take much. Sometimes a little bit of a piece of media is all enough to make it not seal. Let's see what we got now. Looks good. We'll get that wiped up while it's going, but the reason I like putting it in the tumbler first, so it's a wet media tumbler, I like having everything clean. It's just a personal preference. I like having everything clean before I put anything in my press. Whether it's depriming, resizing, anything. You figure water and soap is a lot less expensive than, you know, replacing worn dies. So I'm going to set it for an hour and a half. After an hour and a half of tumbling, let's see what we've got here. Empty it out, rinse them off. Got a few little pieces of media that decided they wanted to go down. Pick them up. So screens have gaskets. We'll just put the screen on. It really doesn't matter. Gonna turn them over, empty them out. A little dirty. Okay. We'll get our media separator up here. Camera's in the way and we got tight spaces, so we'll do this for now. So all I want is the brass out of here. Pins actually stay inside. We'll lock her up. The newer ones have a pin that locks the two halves together. So it's not that old, but every year they improve something, just like certain phones. So we'll slowly give it a spin. I put the lid on here so the stainless media doesn't go flying all over the place. Let's see how well we're doing here. As you can see, pretty well. So I could just tip it over and try to get it in here, but a little longer. What we'll do now is we'll fill this up. Actually, because I won't be, yeah, we could do that. And we'll just rinse out our brass to get it to a point where the water's not soapy. And then put it in the dryer. You can put them in the rack to let them air dry. Or put them in a dryer. In goes the brass, out comes the basin. So the water's not too bad. I'm going to say that's good. Just in case some media came out, we'll do it via the screen. Media's heavy, so it'll stay on the bottom. Got a bunch of dirt. I don't see any pins. Oh, I see one. Not bad. 1 pin. 2 pins. Still not bad. Here we go. 2 pins. Dump that out. Alright. Grab a couple of dryer trays here. Get our basket full of brass. Spread it out in a single layer. Couple of 9mm accidentally in there. That's all right. What the heck? Dry them too. Alright, so we got a single tray's worth. Didn't need the other tray. We'll set it up in our special brass dryer. Okay, this is an older style of brass dryer. Doesn't have a power switch on it, but it'll easily handle. Single layer. I have dried venison and beef in it before making jerky, but I basically use it for brass. It's an older style model, so there's no on and off switch on it. Just plug it in, and usually takes about an hour. See you in an hour. Okay, after an hour and a half in the dehydrator, our brass is nice and dry for our next step. So I've already filled up the reloading tray, and we're going to move on to our new Frankfurt Arsenal case trimmer. This is the way we removed it out of the package. We put in our inside outside chamfers, our large pocket primer, and we're going to show you how to set this up. So let's pull out the case holder. This is a left-hand thread now, and you can see how fine these threads are. Okay, so we'll remove the collet nut, take the O-ring off. The O-ring doesn't seal anything. It strictly acts as a friction for the collet nut to adjust it back and forth. So we're going to grab our medium-sized collet, and if you look at the chart that comes with the case trimmer, we see that for 30-06 it's going to be a 0.35 inch or 350 thousandths. Here's the tool maker coming out in me. So 350 thousandth diameter. Grab that bushing, and we notice for 30-06 we're going to use the medium size collet. You grab your case holder, grab your bushing, put it in tapered side down. Make sure it doesn't flip around on you. Put your medium-sized collet in. You're going to put your collet nut on. For fine threads, I find it easier, turn it in the opposite direction of tightening. You'll hear a click engaging the thread, or actually at the start of the thread, and then slowly put it on. Make sure you don't cross thread it, so you got it started. Now we can put it on there. This is your trimmer head. So So we put it on there. Here's what I'm talking about. So this is a left hand thread, which means if you turn it to the right, righty tighty lefty loosey, not in this case. Hear that? That's where you want to start. Now we can tighten it in. Have the lock nut turned all the way out. Also left hand thread, righty tighty lefty loosey. So engage it for a few threads. We're going to grab a piece of brass here and we're going to insert it in, bottoming it out. Easier said than done, right? So bottom it out, brace the case holder, and tighten it up so the collet grabs. Still way loose. Remember that O-ring needs to be seated completely. You don't want to ruin it. Okay, still loose. Give it a couple turns. Still snug. And that's good. You just don't want any lateral movement. What I'll show you now is how to adjust your case trimmer to the proper size brass. So 30-06, we've already set our collet. It's a nice snug fit. Not too snug, but you can slide it in and out. But what you want to do now is we'll find out what we need our case length to be. We know by the SAMI chart that the length of a 30-06 case is supposed to be 2.494 plus nothing minus 20 thousandths. This is a printout that I took from the page of the SAMI manual for a 30-06 cartridge. What you're looking at now is bottom out your case. Let's back this up just a touch. Actually, this way. Okay, so we're backed up. We see the gap between the cutter head and the top of the brass neck. We're going to turn it in till that neck just touches, and you'll feel it right about there. Now the marks on the side are per 2.5 thousandths. They're in thousandths of an inch. So we will back it off about 5 thousandths just to be safe. Lock your collet nut in. Okay, we'll turn it on. Need a little bit of power. That always helps. So, you do feel something. Back it off a little more. Watch your fingers, or just shut it off. Back it off a little more. Still feel something. Back it off a touch more. Okay. Right about there I'm starting to feel engagement, or the cutter touching the surface. So we'll tighten it. Don't feel anything. Loosen the lock nut, turn it in a couple thousandths, tighten the lock nut, now I'm feeling something, tighten the lock nut, okay, there we go. You won't see a lot of shavings down here because I'm not doing a heavy cut. Now these are once fired Remington core locks. This is my first reloading of these 30-06s. We see they're at 2.476 and a half. Can you see that? There's our case length. And 2.476. So knowing that they are 2.494 minus 20, we're still 2 thousandths over the minimum size. So we're good. So we'll grab another one, put it in, yep, a little bit. I don't feel anything cutting anymore, pull it out, and we'll measure it. And I will say this, for an automated machine or a motor running machine, not doing this by hand trimmer and bench mounted and whatnot, that's consistent. What I like to do is take a third one. 1, 2, maybe a mistake. 3, definitely not. We'll trim the third piece of brass. Definite engagement there. You can hear that one. We'll pull it out. And we see 2.486. Is there any more left to trim? A little bit. Quite a bit. Well, for a tool maker, 10 thousandths is quite a bit. Alright, now I don't feel anything. Look at that, folks. We're right on the money. I'm going to say we're good. We can chamfer the ID, chamfer the OD, turn it around, and with the primer pocket cleaner, clean that out. We have a nice clean primer pocket. Our holes are chamfered. Alright, now that our brass is all resized, trimmed, chamfered, and primer pockets are cleaned, got some grease on them, back in the tumbler, fill it up. Fill it right up to about the neck here. She's right about there. It's good enough. So back to our secret formula. Done. I know it says a gain bottle, but 1001. tablespoon lemon scent. All it is a booster. This time around, this is the final cleaning, so we're going to polish them up a little bit. This is the stainless media that Frankfurt Arsenal sends with their tumbler. I'm going to throw that in there. Yes, I've used the tumbler before, but never the media. Why? Because I only have cleaned shot shell holes. Yes, I cleaned shot shell holes. I'm probably the only person in the world cleaning shot shell holes. Well, at least the people I know anyway. Frankfurt Arsenal does know how to package their stuff. Okay, we drop in the media. A little bit of spillage here. Grab our handy dandy Frankfurt Arsenal magnet. Yeah, I was on the Frankfurt Arsenal kick, but it's good stuff. Okay, grab it all. And you might be asking yourself, hey, wait a minute, didn't he say it's stainless? Yes. 400 series stainless is magnetic. .300 series is not magnetic, which is most of your stuff is made of. Alright, after an hour and a half of tumbling, you should have some clean brass, or at least that's what it looked like through the portal window here. So we'll slowly pour it in to our media separator here. Pretty dirty. Actually, let's do this. I bought them for a reason, actually just for this. Frankfurt Arsenal's fine strainers. All they are screens for the media separator. Couple of screens, we'll only be using the one. Put it on top. This way the stainless media doesn't fall down the sink, and we'll get rid of the water this way. And even though this was cleaned once, we can still see we're getting dirty water here. And all we should really have is brass trimmings and some light grease from the lube. And we resized it. Alright, now let's get our brass in here. Need to stop tightening it down so hard. Alright. And the pins do bounce around quite a bit, so pour it in slowly. We'll get those out later. Got to keep a couple pieces of brass here on the bottom. We'll rehome those. Close, lock her up, and since the media is that light, we'll give it a nice slow spin. And I'll keep doing this till I don't see any media coming out. Alright, I got the majority of the media out. We'll fill it up with some lukewarm water. 86 packaging for the strains. We'll rinse the brass out till this water doesn't get soapy anymore. So probably, again, 2 or 3 water changes just as before. This is our third rinse. The water is no longer anywhere near as soapy. Crank it up. This one only goes up to 145, which, as we found out previously, is more than enough. We'll plug her in and see in an hour and a half. This is the first time we're using our IntelliDropper or digital powder measure, so we have to zero it out. We need to make sure it doesn't wobble. Got a little wobble here. Bubble level saying it's 0, so which way is it wobbling? I'm going to say back left. Pull it out a little. There we go. Oop. There we go. Calibrate. 50 grams of weight. Don't touch the nozzle. Stable. Calibrate. Stable, asking for 100 grams, so we'll add the second 50 gram weight. Stable, calibrate. Passed, and we're stable. Put the weights back. Let's add the scale back on. We'll zero it. And let's add our powder. For this reload 30-06, we're using Ogden's Farnet or Varget. So this even has the ability to calibrate the powder being dispersed, whether it's ball powder, large grain, small grain, grain by meat extruded. So we'll hit powder calibration. Should put the windscreen on, but again, I don't have any fans blowing. There's nothing going on in my room here. Powder calibration. What it sounds like it's doing is going through the different auger speeds and different times, seconds, tenths of a second, and calibrating to that. So we're stable, it's done. So Varget recommends a maximum of 51 grains for 30-06 load. In the Lee 2nd edition reloading manual, it states a minimum of 47 to a maximum of 51. So what we're going to do is try 47. So 47 is our target weight, and we're going to hit enter. Pretty slick. 57 grains. A lot faster than using the balance beam. So got our funnel out. I like it. Nothing sticks and went down nice and smooth. So let's change our mode to auto. Let's put the cover back on, since this should cover our load for a while. And let's dispense. Stable it is. So in auto mode, you don't have to keep pressing enter every time. As soon as you put the pan back on the scale, it'll sense it, returning the tar weight back to 0, and start dispensing to your next load. Cool. So your next step is going to be seating the bullet. This is your bullet seater. Make sure you have it backed off far enough. You don't want to overseat it and make your dimension less than what it should be. Now, out of the SAMI book, it states that we're looking for a minimum of 2.940, but no more, a maximum of 3.340. So put our cartridge in. Let's seat it. Bring it up into the die. Didn't even make contact. So we could at least do a couple turns. Little something. So we'll grab our calipers, and we have 3.487. We got a ways to go. What we want to do is come into that crimp area right there. So that was about 1.5 turns. And as you can see, we're just on the verge here. So I'm going to give it another 1/4 turn. Because when we go to crimp it, I would like the crimp to be in that groove. We are right on the edge of that cantilever. And 3.249. Right in range. So let's crimp it. And that looks good. Just a nice little light ring around there. Get this thing to focus so you can see it. And just below, just a light ring. That's a cartridge. Grab another one. Bullet. Go to seat. Crimp it. So all you're looking for is just a light ring. You don't want to smash it too much to deform the bullet. Just a light ring. Okay. That's 5 at 47 grain. I'm going to bump it up to 47 and a half, 48, 48 and a half, 49. And I'll start taking notes at the range. See what each one does. Again, not exceeding 51 grains. Our minimum is 47 grains. Our maximum for Farget is 51 grains. Hope you enjoyed this. Like, share, subscribe. God bless.